Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. My microphone is doing what it does best, which is mess up with me. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenya Revolutionary. My time is all over the place. So forgive me if your notification was telling me that I'm supposed to come in later. I have to get this off the way because I'm like doing something else right now. So if you get the notification that I'm going live, I'm live right now, or you're going to miss this live and get it later, God bless your heart. Please do what you need to do, which is the first order of business is liking the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, share, like, comment, and all that good stuff. Let's get started. Let me give you 5 minutes just to get settled down. I know wherever you are, if you're in Kenya, it's probably nighttime. It's 10 p.m. East African time, 10 or 11 or whatever the case is. If you're somewhere in the east coast of the US, it's probably like in the afternoon. If you are in the west coast of US Pacific time, you're probably lunch hour, something like that. If you're in Europe, it's early evening, maybe 8, 6, whatever the case is. So God bless you. Whatever you're watching from, karibu sana, karibu. Whether it's in Asia, East Asia, Europe, America, South America, Antarctica, whatever, Africa, whatever the part. Karibu, 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 karibu. Let's get in. Today, I guess the headlines is more of Raila and his excuses for joining Ruto's government. We had to say we saw him cheesing it up with what's his face? Engineer. They both engineers met. Engineer Raila Odinga and the engineer Oscar Sudi, as you can see the thumbnail. But I will get to that. That's the main meal. Let's get to the appetizers first. The other things that were happening. Jimmy Wanjigi. Of course, Jimmy Wanjigi was on one of those TV shows explaining his relationship with the past regime, Ruto and Kenyatta. Also, who else? There's, I don't know. I'll start with something else. Let's get ready. Let me start with this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and enemies and comrades. I want to start with Raila's statement. Actually, I'll do that later. Let me just start with Jimmy Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi is more interesting. That I'll deal with Raila later because I don't think it's much. I know it's Raila saying that Uhuru asked him to kind of call Ruto and quill things, kind of sabotage this, stop this whole Maandamano by the Gen Z. It's just a cop-out by Raila Odinga, for people. He doesn't want his core followers, who is losing by the day a lot. He doesn't want them to look at him like, hey, umetusaliti. Oh, Raila, you turn against us. Because remember, everybody in the opposition, so-called opposition, was supporting this Gen Z movement. Because Gen Z movement, in fact, even though the name suggests that it was a political, it was a generation, okay, a political age group. The reality is Gen Z actually represented majority of Kenyans' dreams, or whatever the case is. Alison Carroll, karibu sana, greetings to you too. Nice seeing you. Thank you very much. Make sure you like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Nice seeing you. So, like I say, Gen Z, the name is a name that describes the face of the movement. But Gen Z itself, it's not just limited to an age group. Gen Z is a whole countrywide movement of people who feel like the system is not working for them. This corrupted system, okay? So they want to go back to the constitution and hold leaders accountable. And not only hold the leaders accountable, the ones that have been, starting from Ruto going down, all the branches of government, if they messed up, they should go. That was the kind of the goal of this. It started with the finance bill. The finance bill, Ruto played us, and it turned into Ruto must go. And that's what it was, okay? So as it stands, Ruto must go. So we saw what happened. They organized a couple of Maandamano, and unfortunately, the Nane wasn't that successful. Ruto was able to bring on some police from Uganda and stuff and thwarted the movement, thwarted the Nane thing. But we are yet to see what will happen, because even before that, Raila joined Ruto. We know the story. He sent his so-called experts, which is bold, because what's Hassan Joho's expertise? Oparanya, what's his expertise? I can understand Mbadi, as corrupt as he is at least an accountant by profession, by trade. But what I'm saying is this: it's not about donating your experts to go help Ruto. Why do you do that? It's just another way of, he's playing us around. But we know it's a handshake. It's a handshake, ladies and gentlemen. It's a handshake. And that's why you hear them talk about a broad-based government, or whatever the case is. So for him to come out and say, oh, you know what, it's actually Uhuru Kenyatta who asked me to go rescue Ruto from these Gen Zs, it does not even help you, because you were viewed by some of your co-supporters as the face of change, somebody who will bring in change. Now they can't believe their eyes seeing you joining the very person who they love. But for somebody like me, we've been knowing this since 2017. Raila was gone. He's a sellout. He's not helping anybody. But anyway, let's start with Jimmy Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi. He had some stuff going on news, and she was being interviewed by Okwara, whatever her name is, and he admitted that he supported Gen Zs financially. He's one of the financiers. I don't know if he's the main one, but he owned up to it, which is not illegal, actually. So kudos to him. He came out and said what it is. He's not hiding away from it. He said what he said. But let's listen to him. I've said before that Jimmy Wanjigi is an interesting character. To me personally, I do not trust him, because he has always rubbed shoulders with the very people that we're always fighting against. So I gave you my whole shebang about Jimmy Wanjigi and Raila and Gen Z axis. Why Jimmy Wanjigi is taking this responsibility as the person behind Gen Z and not Raila Odinga. I explained that in my other video. Go watch it, other my lives. I said it, but if you want me to repeat it, I'll do it. I'll gladly do so. But in generally, I do not trust this Jimmy Wanjigi guy. He's too involved with the political class. You cannot rub shoulders with these guys and claim that you want them out. If you've made your billions by a certain system, a corrupted system, okay? I'm not saying Jimmy is corrupt. I don't have evidence, but it is rumored that he is made his millions through these corrupt deals, getting government tenders. If you've benefited from this system, why would you want it to be taken down? Again, he talks good stuff about debt and how we need to revolutionize this government, the whole system, the state, and all the state organs. But again, like I said yesterday, the people who, not everyone who talks about change really wants change. Okay? You have to. The infiltrators, we might be fighting, going to the streets and Maandamano, talking about Ruto must go, but all of us do not have the same goal. We are not fighting for the same end game. Some people are there doing a job, and when it reaches a point, they will stop and give up, because their goal was never to change the system. Their goal was to actually usher in another avenue for more corruption to take place. So I'm not saying Jimmy Wanjigi is one of them, but I personally, this is my views, not anybody's view, I do not trust Jimmy Wanjigi. Yes, he says good stuff about debt. Yes, he's giving us all this wonderful lectures about how corrupt this government is, and the previous one, and the previous one, and that. But looking at it, he has actually made his billions through this very system. So why would he want it to change? Let's take a look at his interview, nevertheless, and see what he had to say. I'll get to Raila part. Don't worry about it. If you're here for the Raila part, I'll get to it, because I think it's not. Yeah. But anyway, let's get to it. This is Jimmy Wanjigi.
He cannot solve it. He's part of that. Ruto must go is a clarion call even in my heart. He must go. William Samoei Ruto cannot solve problems that he has helped create. He cannot. God will never even bless him with that. If you had the brain, you'd never have created them in the first place. He has created such problems in this country to do with money, to do with the economy of this nation. And I can tell you, he's compounding it. He cannot solve it. He's part of the last wreck that has happened in the previous regime, and he's creating even more mess now. He cannot solve it. Every day William Ruto is in power, I want Kenyans to know, it is more and more pain. He has no solution to this.
So how, because you have a copy of the Constitution of Kenya there, how would you propose he leaves office?
He should resign like yesterday, and his government should resign. Rigathi Gachagua should resign. The speaker was already cancelled by Gen Z when they went to the floor. They, under Article 1, already took back that house called Parliament. And on the following Thursday, they were going to take back State House, which meant the people have taken back power as Article 1 of the Constitution. And it must be clear to everybody, the Constitution is not above the people. The people are above the Constitution. State officers are below the Constitution. So it's the people first, the Constitution, and then state offices.
All right, you say.
Okay, that's a really interesting point. I agree with him on that part. I agree. I've been having this argument with people, some people in other platforms. They're here. How are you going to get Ruto out? How are you get? He's right. On the 25th June, when those young men and women went to that parliamentary building and grabbed that mace, they rendered the legislative body useless. Any law that was made after that June 25th, after they took that mace, is null and void because they symbolically and in actuality, physically, went there and took up power from this delegated power from the legislative body. That is something you have to understand. That people, they're ignoring it. The legislative body as it is right now, it is conducting its business illegally without the approval of anyone. Munanielewa? Get that straight. He's right when Jimmy Wanjigi says the Constitution is below the people, because the Constitution says it. The people are the sovereigns. Okay? They're above every law of the land. You understand? So if the people decide to take this delegated power that they gave, these arms of government, which consist of Ruto and his minions in the executive, his minions at the legislative branch, his minions that he bribed at the judiciary, Ruto has to resign. He has no power. His power that he enjoys is power that was delegated. But already the legislative body has been rendered useless. The mace was taken by the people. The people took back power from the legislative body, so they cannot claim to be passing any law legally because they've lost legitimacy. You understand? So Jimmy Wanjigi is right in that point. Okay? So, yes, let's go on. There's a part 2 of this, several parts. I didn't watch the whole thing in once because, sometimes. But anyway, here it is. This is, he was making reference to the Ruto regime back in the day. Remember back in the day? All right. Let's just take a look. Listen to what he said. It was interesting. It was interesting. Okay. Like I say, I don't trust him because it shows there's a lot of people who are part of the reason why we're separated.
I contributed a little bit. Them first and foremost.
Money?
No.
Did you fund their campaign in 2013?
Tell me something. Do you think Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta needs my money? No. He doesn't need my money. We all contributed. I contributed a little bit, right? But that is not what makes somebody win. contrary to what public belief is. It's not money. It's a cause. You develop a cause, and the people buy into this cause. At that time, we sold two things, right? First, there was the unity of the country to take away the ills of tribal fighting. That was critical. Number two, we sold a new generation into power, digital versus analog. And we sold a cause for that growth. Now, that is what gets you to power. So my role in that, maybe they will define it better, but they felt I had the energy, I had the zeal, I had the capacity to be able to help them from 2009 go right up to an election in 2013 and win. In fact, at the time it was 2012. It was then extended. Now, they believed that I had that capacity. I know I had the capacity. And we did it. We succeeded.
Then what happened?
They broke the pact. It was no longer about saving Kenya. It was about themselves. It continued being about themselves. And very early in the administration of the Ruto regime, by 2014, we were fighting. Principally because they broke that pact. We were three of us in the room. I even still have today the MOU of that government, the original. I have it. And the essence of it, they broke very.
Okay, in this clip, I would say Jimmy Wanjigi is full of crap. I'll tell you why. He's saying that the Uhuru Ruto campaign, they had to, it's not money that helps you win, which is right. Money can help you reach out to people, but it cannot help you win an election, okay? And he said they had a cause. 2013, what was Uhuru Ruto's cause? First of all, the main thing is that these were suspects in the ICC. They had a case. They were not qualified. They didn't pass chapter 6. These were two criminals. Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta are criminals. These people have killed people. They've killed Kenyans. We know about Kiamba Church, what happened in Kiamba, and we know Ruto, what he did with Mungiki. So let's not play these games. So what is this cause that what they were promoting in 2013? They didn't win. Uhuru Kenyatta has never won any election except the one in whatever, Gatundu South, when he was running for Gatundu. Okay? So when Jimmy Wanjigi comes here and start telling us, this is, you did not have a cause. You ran for president illegally, both Ruto and Uhuru. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. These two people, and you add in Raila Odinga to the mix, Uhuru, Raila, and Ruto. These are the main people who have caused a lot of bloodshed in the last 20 years than anyone else in this country. These three stooges, they're problematic. They've shed a lot of blood, and they're the people who are holding this country down. Others beside them are minions. The Makaruas and Wamalo, these are minions. Bus boys, errant boys. But these three people, Uhuru Kenyatta, Muigai, actually his family is the one who has started all this nonsense in Kenya. His family is the reason why Kenya is where it's at. Then come this Raila guy who's control opposition, who has been pretending to be the face of the opposition, only to be aiding and abetting the Kenyattas and the Mois and the Kibakis, and now the Rutos. Then there's Ruto, who is advancing, carrying the torch of Nyayo. These three individuals should be in committee and should be hanged to death. Alison Carroll is telling me, let me read this. Have you heard this rumor that they want Wanjigi also because he holds the real sword of oath and they have been using a fake one for the swearing in of prezos? What? I didn't know that. Well, if he's holding the sword, then he has the by law, he has symbolically, he has the control of the armed forces. If Wanjigi has the real sword. Is that the game that Uhuru played? They giving Ruto the fake sword and gave Wanjigi the real sword? That's so. If that's true, then that's really funny. That's really, 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 really cold. Yeah? This Wanjigi guy. All right. Here's another one. He's still
William Ruto and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta approached me. You started there. In 2009, William Ruto and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta approached me. And they said they have a big problem called ICC. That ICC problem is going to jail them. It is going to destroy their past and their future. It is going to take away everything that they have if they are convicted. It will brand their names synonymous to Hitler. They approached me. And they approached me with the view that somehow or another, I was going to be able to chart a path for them that would get them to power to get rid of ICC. That started there.
All right.
In 2009.
So he's mentioning something that I was just mentioning about the ICC cases. Yeah. Uhuru and Ruto are Hitlers of Kenya. They are. They should not be holding public offices. These people are criminals, murderers. They were not supposed to run. They did not pass chapter 6 of the Constitution as it relates to integrity. So Jimmy Wanjigi, they called Jimmy Wanjigi to help. See that? Hey, like the video, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades. I got more. We're not done. We are not done. We are not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. We are not done by no means. He was talking. The explainer.
I support them. I
stand with the protests. Do you support the Gen Z led?
101%. 101%. I support them. I support what they are doing. I think along the way, if you go through some of my clips from September, October last year, I've been saying it's going to happen. It was bound to happen because Kenyans are in pain. I support them 100%. It's in the Constitution. It's their democratic right. And yes, I have supported them financially. I gave them money when they were in bond. I have supported the supply of flags and water and all those things. Why not? I'm sure I'm not the only Kenyan who did it, right? Because it's not against the law, right? I don't think they asked for any other support. I think people are looking for ghosts here. And yes, I appeared on Thursday. We got there about 3:30. We found the streets very empty. We found a small crowd on Kimathi Street that were being tear gassed, that had been held by police. And they embraced us. We went into the crowd, but it was no longer than 5-10 minutes and we were being tear gassed out of town. In fact, it's the same group that ushered me into my cars and said, please, please go. These guys are going to be wild here.
And then a car chase ensues after that?
And a car chase, a vicious car chase, all the way to Muthaiga. We locked the gate, and that's when the siege began. And that siege.
All right. So he said it. He calls it. He said it explicitly. I financed the Gen Z. Again, he's right. It's not illegal to finance protests. Protest is legal. It's enshrined in our constitution, Article 37. Nothing wrong with that. But there has been speculation, whether it's the Russians, mara it's Uhuru, mara it's Nani, mara it's Ford Foundation, mambo mingi. I and Oyo Samejito amesema, I'm not the only one though, but I did support them financially. Yes, and I support them 101%. He's not hiding. But again, like I say, this Jimmy Wanjigi guy, all right. Here's another clip about Uhuru Kenyatta.
I wish they would answer it. I wish one day you can ask them.
Hold on.
Falling apart of this pact, they've now been coming after you?
I wish they would answer it. I wish one day you can ask them. I want to tell you.
Have you never spoken to them since 2014,
let me say
when things started to come a cropper?
Let me tell you, in Uhuru's government, we never talked. We never talked after he came for me. All right? You must remember, I was even put in an obituary. I'm alive, but I was in an obituary in the Daily Nation. Right? So you tell me what that is. You saw the Israelis, the issue of Hamas the other day, the Hamas leader. When you are put in an obituary in Palestine, that is what is called a death promise. And it's normally done by Mossad. And it happens. So we said at the time, it seems they want to kill us. Why? Because I was supporting Raila Odinga in the last election. Because of the Supreme Court order. What was it? Now, I want to tell you that they have an essence of my capacity. They have an essence of who I am. And there's one thing you need to understand in politics and in leadership. You know who your competition is. You know it in your gut, especially when you're up there. You know it in your gut where your competition is, where your problem is, who can remove you. You know it in your gut. There's one thing I do understand, this country. I understand it, I feel it, I live it, I know it, and they know I know it. You asked me an earlier question. Why would they kill you? In this incident of William Ruto, because I'd like to come here, I want you to understand there are two pillars of any government. There's the pillar of guns, and even the MOU I did with them was based on that. The pillar of guns and the pillar of money. Without those, a government cannot operate. All right? Those are the two pillars. A gun to protect people, to protect them, to protect money. And money to buy those guns. That is the essence of any government anywhere. I do not have guns. I am not a militia. I'm not trying to overthrow the government of Kenya.
But yet you say they're threatened by you.
Yes, because I've gone after the money. I have been talking money for the last 2 years. I'm going after the other pillar because they have broken the constitution of this land on the pillar of money.
Okay. Valid point. I do not have anything as far as disagreement with that. But like I say, Jimmy Wanjigi, he is who he is. So what do I make of it? Like I said before, Jimmy Wanjigi, I do believe he is part of this cabal, this political class. He plays a role. Okay. We might be looking at him as someone who is against the government, is against the, all these people. But when it comes down to it, like I said, why would you fight a system that you've benefited from? Why would you want to overthrow it? It does not make sense. The only reason why you'd want or appear to be against it is if you want to usher in something, add on some level of already poisoned, the water. I don't know how to put it. Like I said, in my view, and I've consistently and say this based on their action, based on what they say in these funerals and what they talk about in public and what they've already told us. Their dream is to usher in a new constitution which will accommodate all these tribal chieftains. These tribal chieftains that sit on the same table at night. Daytime, they might play to the gallery, pretend you're the opposition, I'm on the government side. Let's create a crisis so we can usher in this new constitution. Okay? You have the money, you be the face of the movement. I have a bunch of kids that are ready to, who think that they are out there to change things. We use the useful idiots. I'm not calling them idiots, but it's a term that's used in politics. Useful idiots are people who they're out there fighting for a cause that they don't understand the end game of it all. That's what I mean. All right, Karibu Jim, Principal Kaur, hope I said it right, and Gypsy Kona, Karibu Sana. Gypsy is telling us that the truth is hitting Raila so hard, using everyone as a pawn. Ruto kneeling for help, Uhuru Kenyatta asking him to make phone calls. Who is next? Comical, all lies. Oh, yes, you're right. Raila there's so much backlash against Raila. Like, again, if you want to know how bad it is, go to his Twitter page or ODM page and just scroll down and read their comments. No one is amused. No one is happy with him. And it's real. Like, people are really disappointed with the ODM. And the funny part is the few people that were left that still held on and thought Raila was the guy who would still take them to the proverbial Canaan. He has now shown them the middle finger and he doesn't care. I mean, at least he's trying to fix it now by saying, oh, it is Uhuru who told me to go talk to. Very good point by Gypsy Corner. Oh, it was Uhuru who gave me a phone call and told me to go talk to Ruto. Oh, no, it was Ruto who asked me, begged me, knelt down and asked me for help. Which is it, Raila Odinga? So apparently, Ruto was kneeling before you asking for help in governing. And Uhuru called you and asked you to go meet up Ruto. He is terrified by the fact that even his core supporters are now seeing it. And now, to be honest with you, the only people who still look at Raila as enigma or whatever the case is are really people who are benefiting from the ODM party, the Nuru Kangas of this world, or people who are deeply tribalistic, the Kalomas, the Robert Alais. Of course, they also are, they have to lick his behind because the PS positions are coming up. I don't know how many, which some of the ODM folks will be handed some positions. So they have to do that so that maybe they'll be picked up. That's why. So yeah, he's really running out of excuses. When is this conmanship is going to stop? Raila writes, should by now be smelling that Kenyans coffee. Some people will never give up. Some people are really, they don't want to, it's hard to, the hardest thing to do is to convince someone that they have been duped, that they've been lied to. That's the hardest thing to convince someone. If I came here today and told you that everything that you've been told in your life is a lie, how would you reconcile that with your reality? That's what I mean. It's very hard to convince someone that they've been lied to. So when you come and say, if you call Raila a conman, they are willing to stone you. They will stone you. Because they don't, what? This is my reality. Raila is the man. So all of a sudden he's what? No. I'm not accepting that. Raila will never do that. He just went there to, they'll try to justify it. Or Raila is just there to, mess up Ruto's government. That will be their excuse. Raila is just there to mess up Ruto's government. You see, he went in there, divided the Nini, he will bring us to Ninio. He's fighting for us within the system. That's what they'll try to convince themselves, because they cannot deal with the reality that this man that they've been looking up to all these years is actually a con man. He's a charlatan. He's a criminal. A total joker. That's what it is. Stop calling him Baba. Just use the real name, political conman. Yeah. Speaking of tribal chieftains, well, Ruto was somewhere in Kisii, and the Kisii people did not want to hear what he had to say. But let's take a look. I think it was a nice scene there. People showing him off. He was trying to tell them about a new university and how many nini.
Mimi nimesema hivi kwa sababu ya mambo ya stima. Mimi nimesema hivi, maneno ya stima ni ya muhimu kwa sababu tunataka stima ifike kwa nyumba ya kila mwananchi. Tumeelewana? Hiyo maneno ya stima mimi nataka niwaeleze hivi. Hapa Nyamira tumetoa pesa shilingi milioni 650 ya kusambaza stima Nyamira County. Na tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba manyumba ingine ni 10,000, manyumba mpya 10,000 ya stima itaunganishwa hapa Nyamira County. Kwa sababu ya mambo ya stima.
Poor guy. No one wanted to hear what he had to say. Like, he was trying to talk and everyone was heckling him, telling him, hakuna hapana, hatutaki kusikia hiyo. Watu wa Kisii, jamani. Nyamira, behave yourself. Show respect for your president. Of course, I'm being facetious, but you get the point, right? All right. Here's a piece about political tribalism, or whatever the case is. Tribal shift. Karibu sana, Mr. Melchizedek Odhiambo. Nice seeing you, brother. Let me play this short Ninio as we continue. I'll get to the Raila part. That's the main mail.
Tactic designed to pit communities against each. Tonight, we're calling out the political class in the country, which has always been a theater of manipulation and division. Politicians seeking to secure their power and sway have always wielded the tribal card as a tactic designed to pit communities against each other for personal gain and expediency, not the things they purport to be promising the people for their good. It is part of what the Gen Z-led demonstrators who were taken to the streets for weeks decried and condemned as they called for transformation in the way the country is run, demanding a cleaner, more accountable political landscape which speaks and acts off the podium of integrity. Tribalism is shunned and frowned upon by all and sundry when it is fitting, but it becomes conflated with, quote, regional interests. These interests and unique needs of different parts of the country are a reality that nobody should take away. But when they are tucked into the belt of tribal wars and enrolled into the backward schools of thought that elevate individuals and hardly do much for the people, then we risk losing some of the key lessons that have been learned through blood and torture during the famed Gen Z protests. The Gen Z and demonstrating youth at large exhibited their knowledge and awareness of the toxic effects of tribalism and were clear about their desire for political sanitization, which is not just about a change in the people in offices of power, but about fundamental shift in how politics is conducted in the country. For the weeks when the country was undergoing this unprecedented wave, one thing was clear: tribe was not a factor. It was not even heard of. Even the political class was disoriented that their power cocoons were dismantled by the progressive ideologies, beliefs, and convictions. But as time goes by, politicians are slithering back into the villages of tribalism, enjoying the brews of mtu wetu and enjoying the meal of divide and rule. They're back to speaking in tongues after they realized they would lose their grip on the populace if they spoke the language the youth were preaching. We have gone back to having people fighting for political supremacy on account of the tribal card, using it as a weapon and a tool of division. Let us not dive back into toxic ethnicism and lose the gains of the protests, which were driven by values and principles that override where one comes from or the language that one speaks within this great republic. The blood that was shed to free us from the chains of tribalism must not be spat on and reduced to just another set of incidents. May all walk in freedom, true freedom.
All right. So the NTV are also highlighting this whole tribalism thing. I mentioned this before, even this before that piece. I said the Gen Z were changing the game because they brought about issue-based protest. This is not about mtuetu, tumeshinda kura, or whatever the case is. This was about accountability and taking responsibility. Okay? This is what it was all about. That's why yesterday I had my guest here who I vehemently disagreed with when he told us that he wanted this NADCO thing and that we need a 5 main tribe rulership. And my argument was, this is not about tribe. We have 42 tribes. Are you going to put everyone in the cabinet from each and every 42 tribes that we have in Kenya? No, it's not plausible. It is not possible. It is impractical. We cannot do that. We have to go back to the constitution. The problem is these so-called elected leaders, most of them who are rigged themselves in, do not want to implement the constitution because they know if we actually stick to the constitution, they will lose their jobs. Most of them being incompetent, most of them cannot pass chapter 6 of the constitution. They have integrity issues. The legislative body, whether it's the Senate or the parliament, have more killers than we have in the streets. I mean, name them, whether it's Barasa or Babu Owino. These are people who have shot citizens on camera, but they're still walking around as members of parliament. Okay? We have people who are riddled with graft cases. Some say to be drug dealers are in the executive branch of government. How do you expect these people to implement the constitution? How do you expect them to follow the law? They cannot. So they have to cling on this demon, this scourge that is holding us back called tribalism. And the president is exploiting that, using your plight, attaching it to your tribal chieftain, saying that, hey, listen, this is an inclusive government because your corrupt, so-called perceived tribal chieftain has been offered a position in my cabinet. And there are enough nitwits on Twitter sphere, like the Kalumas and the Robert Alai, who are writing, tweeting 24/7, advancing this demonic tribalistic cause by Ruto. This is what is so disturbing about this. So like that lady said, we cannot stop now the gains that this Gen Z movement, whether it was financed by Jimmy Wanjigi or whoever, should not stop there, because they started something that threw this corrupt cabal, who we call the political class, off guard. Accountability. Implement the constitution. That's why whenever Raila mentions this whole idea of meeting up at Bomas, inviting everyone, talking about let's review the constitution, choose what we like and what we don't like, stop him in his tracks right there. You cannot have a convention about changing or reviewing the constitution if the constitution that we already have in place hasn't been fully implemented. And the very people who are supposed to uphold this constitution are the ones who are on that same bandwagon, talking about changing it to benefit them, not the people who are supreme and sovereign. We cannot allow this. I do not care if Raila received a call from Jesus H. Christos or Mohammed or Gandhi to go talk to Ruto. These three men, as I've told you, they are the main characters who are holding back this Kenyan state. They are the very people who, if you look in history, they have been behind financing tribal clashes, civil war, violence. Their names is in the ICC dockets. The only reason why they're walking free is because the witnesses that were supposed to point them out and offer their evidence were killed. That's why these people are still up here, ruling us, being used by the Western colonialists to safeguard their interest, while we have millions who are wallowing in squalid living conditions. This is unacceptable. And like I said, you will not beat them using the system. Respectfully, I agree to some degree that having a voting card is important. But newsflash, the game is rigged. It's rigged against you. The voting machines are tabulated in such a way that they will tabulate the votes in favor of a certain candidate. Oh, you want to take that to the Supreme Court? Guess what? Martha Koome is in their pockets too. She will dismiss you and say it's hot air. You still have faith in this system? Are you planning on gathering 1 million signatures so you can take out your local MP? Oh, good luck, because you need the IEBC. And guess what? They are the very people who are going to choose the IEBC commissioners. So good luck with that too. You see what I'm saying? You cannot use this system to beat them because it's a corrupted one. It's already compromised. The only solution is what the Gen Zs were doing. A popular revolution. We have to go the Bangladeshi way. If you haven't read, the Bangladesh Prime Minister, former Prime Minister who was ousted last week or 2 weeks ago, is going to face murder charges for the protesters that were shot down during the protest. Isn't that something? One day you're a prime minister of a huge country, you get removed, you had all the power before you got removed, and you're shooting people here and left and right. You get ousted, and guess what? You're being tried in absentia. And they will issue a warrant for you, and when you're caught, you will be extradited back to the country and face the full force of the law. So Ruto and your minions, the police that you're hiring from Uganda to come shoot down the protesters, you shall face the music. Not only you, but yes, Uhuru Kenyatta too. Yes, Matiangi, we remember you too. Now you see, the stakes are high. This is not a joke. They are fighting for their own survival. I said it. This is a battle of the wills. Okay? The Gen Zs should stand firm. And when I say Gen Zs, I'm not talking about, again, not an age group. These are Kenyans, whether you are Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, baby boomers, and anything between. If you are in good health and you are bothered enough by the things that are going wrong in this country, and you're in a position where you can help, whether it's providing a platform, offering money to the cause, or offering yourself to be in the front lines. Everyone has a part to play. I also say the math ain't mathing when the affordable house is at least 600K. Yes. Many people called it, this whole housing thing was a sham. She's being investigated. She thought she was safe. Absolutely. She's referring to the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh. So when Raila Odinga comes in and tells us that Uhuru asked him to go talk to Ruto, while a week or 2 weeks ago, he told us that, oh, it was Ruto who was begging him, was on his knees, begging him to help him out, because Gen Zs were on his behind. We can clearly see that the man is desperate to win back his core supporters who have now abandoned him. Instead of making fun of each other, because what I always see on Twitter sphere is, or on these platforms, we are always, you see the finger pointing. Oh, you voted for Ruto, so haha, kuleni ye ujeuri wenu. Or, You voted for Raila. Kuleni hiyo ujeuri wenu. This is not a time for that. No. That's childishness. Both of you were duped. Both of you were duped. So instead of pointing finger at each other, oh, nyinyi watu wa Mount Kenya mlipigia Ruto. Oh, nyinyi watu wa sijui nini mlipigia Raila, watu wa Nyanza sijui. Nyinyi sijui. How is that going to help you? This is a time to fall in line with the Gen Z agenda. Tribeless, leaderless, and what? Partyless. It's all about issue. And the issue at hand is replacing the government in place. Ruto must go. And Ruto must go does not mean Ruto resigning by himself. It is Ruto, Gachagua, and every person working for Ruto's government, including the janitors. Same with the legislative body. Everyone has to go home. From Rectangular Cholet down to the watchman. That is what it means. Ruto must go. And all of us should rally around that. And anyone that supports Ruto should go down with him. Be it Raila Odinga, be it Joho, be it Badi, be it whoever. All of them. And let no one from Azimio or its affiliates, let no one from Kenya Kwanza or its affiliates raise their voice trying to associate themselves with this movement. This is a people's movement. So the Martha Karuas, who all of a sudden wants to convince us that she had the Damascus experience, she's pro-democracy, while she was wailing and fighting, almost physically fighting, to maintain Kibaki's illegal rule, rigged election. Kalonzo Musyoka, a well-known chameleon, watermelon, can't make his mind on anything. Wamalwa, who has much influence in politics as a doorknob, these are people that should not come anywhere near the Gen Z movement. Babu Owino, I'm sorry, boo-boo. Keep crying about not having received any position at ODM. Your parables about the man who was healed by Jesus is not enough to persuade us. We watched the video where you shot DJ with no remorse. If you want to come back, you have to first go to Kodiaga and serve 90 years in Kodiaga. Then come back. We shall consider you for a position after those 90 years. Sifuna, you seem to be reasonable. We were happy, we were cheering when we saw you debating Mungatana. You seem so bright, young, jubilant, vibrant. Oh, how useless you are. What an empty suit. What an empty suit. Oledekina. There's someone running around Kenya saying that he's your son. He looks like you. He has hair like you. He's tall like you. He wants a DNA test. Olekina Ledama. I remember you said the British left Kenya better off than it was before. That was when I knew you are hopeless. But Cheslek is saying Kenya need to wake up and see this game, bro. If you are not careful, we are going to see fire in the next election. In the next election, as things stands, if we get to the next elections, Ruto is going to rig himself in. And he will do what he did in Nani Nani. He will rig himself in, and then he will deploy the police officers, some of them from Uganda, like you saw the clip yesterday, to disperse any Maandamano anywhere. And they will use deadly force. Then we shall have another national government. Broad-based government of national unity, whatever they want to call it. That's the same script that have been playing over and over and over and over and over and over again. And we're falling for it. We're falling for it. From the Moi days, Kibaki days, Uhuru 1, Uhuru 2, well, there's only one Uhuru Kenyatta. And now with Arap Samoei, Kipchirchir, Ruto. If you still think Raila means well for Kenyans, you need to be admitted in the nearest mental institution and have a psychiatric evaluation immediately. Immediately. I have time today. I have time. I think so. I'll do this. I will start with, let's take a look at this Raila Odinga speech, because I really actually want to hear what he has to say, what he really said, what he had to say. I don't know what he said. I saw the quotes. Are you guys ready? WS Banka is saying Jimmy Wanjigi is deceptive as Raila. Yeah. I don't trust him. Let's hear the man called Raila Odinga, what he has to say. Mko ready?
Tumerudi. Nimekuja kuna majonzi. Manake tumekuja kuaga rafiki yetu marehemu mzee Masit. Sasa huyu mzee Masit alikuwa ni rafiki yangu sana. Na yeye vile vile amekuwa rafiki wa watu wengi sana. Alikuwa mwanachama wa chama chetu cha ODM. Wanachungwa. Nikisema ODM nasema tuko tayari. ODM. 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 Hiyo ni final salute ya mzee hapa. Yeye ameishi maisha mrefu. Kwa mtu kama amefika pale amefika, hatuombolezi.
Raila can make a good stand-up comedian.
Tunasherehekea maisha yake. Manake sasa amefika miaka 102 kwa maoni yake. Hiyo inasema hiyo umri ni ya kutathminiwa. An estimate. Manake kama baba yangu vile vile alikuwa karibu na hii kama yeye hapo. Na ukisoma kitabu yake yeye anafanya hesabu. Ati kulikuwa na njaa, ati sijui kulikuwa na ukame, na kulikuwa na mafuriko. Ndio sasa mimi nafikiri nilizaliwa mwaka wa 11. Sema hiyo. Hata kama ile ya Nyayo aliandika tie ni 1924. Lakini ile mtoto wa bwana Barnett wakule kwa Barnett ambaye walisoma na yeye alisema mimi nilizaliwa 1919. Huyu mzee jamaa alinishinda na umri, alikuwa mkubwa kushinda mimi. Kwa hivyo ni estimate. Lakini hiyo yote pamoja ni tunasema tunasherehekea. Pili, yeye vile vile alijaliwa sana na Mwenyezi Mungu. Amezaa hapo watoto timu 2 ya mpira. Na spare 3. Reserve 3. Si amefanya kazi. Amejenga taifa, ama sivyo? Kwa sisi tunashukuru maisha yake. Nasherehekea maisha yake. Yeye alikuwa ni mtu ambaye alikuwa anapenda watu, anapenda wananchi kwa jumla, ana mtu wa raha, tangaza matokeo. 3 pande hii, 4 pande hii. Arin na wenzake walikuwa 4. Wengine walikuwa 3. Kwa hesabu ile ya Hekeri Francis, najua 4 ni kubwa kushinda 3. Lakini hesabu ya Wakenya mara hii 3 imeshinda 4. Ikasemekana ati hao 3 wanasema ukweli, hao 4 wanasema uongo. Kwa sasa wanakuwa wasaliti, wanarushwa. Hiyo ni demokrasia ya Kiafrika, demokrasia ya Kenya. Mimi nacheka tu. Mimi nimeona haya yamefanyika. Waswahili wanasema ati yaliyopita si ndwele, tokanga yaliyomo na. Lakini Irene hata juzi wakati tuliweka ile kamati ya NADCO waliongea kwa runinga wakiwa kule upande ile kule Amerika. Yeye na yule nani mama mwingine Cherera, ndio Cherera 4. Na hata nani huyu Nyagaya wako kule Amerika. Mwenzao mwingine mbona yuko hapa. Na walitoa ushahidi ya kutosha. Wakasema yale ambayo yalifanyika. Maana sasa sisi tunataka kufagia. Waswahili wanasema yaliyopita si ndwele. Na wakasema yote vile yao walikuwa najua. Najua mwaka jana tulikuwa tunapiga maandamano tunasema sava ifunguliwe. Sava ifunguliwe. Na kumsema kweli ni nini? Sasa yeye akasema ati hiyo maneno imefanya yeye akatoroka akawa kule, lakini angependa kurudi. Pili ni mambo ya barabara ambayo imejengwa hapo. Kike anaongea juu ya barabara hiyo ambayo imekata ndani ya boma. Watu wa Kenya waliambiwa na mzee, songeni barabara kule ni mwache hii, hata ile ni shamba pale ile. Walikataa. Hiyo maneno mzigo mpaka punda sasa hawezi kutembea, ameanguka bila. Ati kama wewe kijana umesoma na uko na karatasi, sasa unaajiri watu, mpaka uwe kabila hii, inategemea yule mtu ambaye anachukua.
Anyway, I would have liked to play the whole video, but it's a long, boring, to be honest with you. I can't stand. Anyway, all I can say is that I hope people's eyes are open now regarding Kenyan politics. As I've said, the Gen Z way is the only way to go, but these merging leaders who are coming out of this Gen Z movement should also be looked at, especially the ones that seem to be way too comfortable around the political class. I'll stop it here. It's been an hour. So I would like to impugn you to please like the video, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if you're going to watch it on repeat, please do so. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much, everyone, in the comment section, and I'll see you next time. Peace and blessings.